Masayoshi Yokoyama started work at Sega in 1999. Originally attending Tokai University to study PR, Yokoyama-san decided he wanted a job where he could be creative shortly after graduating. Despite having no specific passion for game development, his ability to put his all into whatever was demanded of him landed him a job as a planner at Sega subsidiary Smilebit. He ended up working directly under producer Kikuchi-san just as the Dreamcast was set to launch on Jet Set Radio. For 5 years, he worked tirelessly as senior planner on both Jet Set Radio and Jet Set Radio Future. For those who don't know, a planner is a specific role unique to Japanese game development. The job varies from company to company, but usually they handle the tasks that aren't already covered by artists, programmers, etc. Typically, a planner would act as a project manager and go-between to the director and staff. The job could even extend as far as designing levels or games despite planners not having any programming skills. In fact, companies may actively turn away those with technical skills for a planner position. The main prerequisite was being good with people, which is where Yokoyama's degree in PR came in handy. The other benefit of having an inexperienced planner was grooming them to fit with your specific company. During his early years at Sega, Yokoyama-san was personally mentored by Kikuchi-san's ever-watchful gaze. Although Kikuchi believed that Yokoyama-san's skills could grow into producer or directorial role one day, Yokoyama-san was done waiting. In 2004, when Smilebit was merged with the team from Amusement Vision, two divisions were created, one of which Yokoyama's boss Kikuchi led a development team alongside longtime Sega director Toshihiro Nagoshi. At a crossroads in his life, Yokoyama could see two paths before him. On one hand, he could stay on under Kikuchi-san and work at what was now called Sega New Entertainment R&D, or, if he was bold, could likely work as a producer at Sega Sports R&D, the secondary studio that was created during the merger. It was a tough choice. Kikuchi-san was hard on him, trying to draw out his passions and having high expectations for everything he did. His other boss, Nagoshi-san, was busy trying to get his project greenlit, and not achieving much of anything, which had Yokoyama worried about the future of the division as a whole. This was made more clear after Nagoshi-san's latest stunt, sneaking in the pitch footage for the unapproved Ryu Ga Gotoku inside of a currently under development sizzle reel that was shown to the president of Sega Sammy, Hajime Satomi. Even if the president was impressed, the other staff at Sega were calling him selfish and reckless. One day, Kikuchi-san left the office for a few days on a business trip. During that time, Yokoyama decided to act. He would finally step out on his own and filed the paperwork for his transfer out from R&D to begin work on making sports games. Word of Yokoyama's immediate transfer request got back to his boss quickly. Kikuchi couldn't wait. He cancelled his meetings and flew back just as the transfer was about to be approved, quickly confronting Yokoyama. "I know a time will come when we will need your ability, so come to my team." So moved that his mentor would go to these lengths to keep him on, Yokoyama-san relented. He would stay on with the slowly transforming Amusement AV and see where this path led him. He was made director of Sega arcade skating game Ollie King, and waited. After Project J was approved and moved into the planning stages, Nagoshi-san was hard at work on the rough outline of the plot. While he had the core concept down and the slogan, the Mad Dog Yakuza and the 10 billion yen girl, he wasn't sure how to tie the story together. New transfers had started arriving, all keen to work on the project, but no progress had been made on the scenario. There was no decision on how the characters would be getting from A to B, what were their motivations, and why they would even care about the 10 billion yen. On the morning Yokoyama-san started to work on Project J, it was announced that a company meeting to determine the story would be held at 3 p.m. This was the opportunity he had been waiting for to prove himself and earn a more creative role in this new project. With just a few hours to prepare, Yokoyama-san looked over all the available materials, which wasn't much. All he had to work with for his pitch was the tagline and a piece of concept art, featuring the silhouette of a Yakuza and a small girl holding hands. He joined the meeting and sat through the other presentations. Everyone was desperately trying to relate both the money and the Yakuza to the little girl by making the stolen cash the core of the story. Yokoyama gave his own presentation. Using a character chart, something he had learned from his planning career, he explained how each would relate to one another. Opposite the main character is this girl. The main character is in a love triangle with his rival, both of whom grew up in an orphanage. The girl is from an orphanage too. The main character takes the fall for his best friend's crime and goes to jail for 10 years. After which he fights the friend who betrayed him, and I'll think of a reason for the 10 billion yen later. Basically, he thought it would be better to show the character drama instead of just focusing on one big twist. Make the characters interesting and the players will want to keep playing. If you structure the narrative like a movie where the characters are only there to forward the plot, everything prior and post the twist will be boring. Instead, the twist would be the final reveal of the money, which will bring all of the threads together. Nagoshi was impressed. Although he had never heard of Yokoyama's work, Nagoshi knew he was highly regarded by Kikuchi-san. He thought, I could leave it to a professional novelist or an external game writer, but this project is brand new, never before seen proposal. As I can make this due to Kikuchi's cooperation, it's better for people from the team to continue it. I wonder what will happen if I entrust it to this young staff member. Of course, Nagoshi had a plan to learn all he could about Yokoyama-san. They would go out and drink. As Yokoyama-san drank more and more, he slowly divulged his history with Nagoshi. He loved sports, baseball in particular, and at one point was on track to join the hurdle team at school. He explained that he originally joined Sega not because he really wanted to make games, but simply because he wanted to create. He also revealed his plot to get out from under Kikuchi and move into sports game development. He didn't really read, and found crime novels boring, preferring instead to spend most of his time with magazines and, in his younger years, anime. Nagoshi was shocked. Everything about Yokoyama was counter to the core of Ryu Ga Gotoku, so he asked him, how did you manage to write out the plot from beginning to end in such a short space of time if you aren't passionate about games? Yokoyama responded with, I'm not the kind of guy who says, I really want to do this, but I put all of my effort into what I'm told to do. If I put everything I have into it, there will come a time when it seems fun. Nagoshi finally understood what Kikuchi saw in Yokoyama, his conviction to see something through to the end, to put his all into the project and ensure he's given everything he can and more. The following day, Yokoyama was called in to see Nagoshi. Likely still hungover from the night before, he simply stated, I'm leaving the scenario to you, I think this is fine. You will have to think of a reason for the 10 billion yen later on though. Yokoyama joined R&D expecting to be a planner. Because of one meeting and a few drinks, the man that had never written a scenario before and had read only enough novels to count on a single hand was now in charge of the story for Ryu Ga Gotoku. He got to work writing the scenario for Ryu Ga Gotoku right away, but quickly learned how hard a job like this was. He would write the first chapter, which would then be checked over by Nagoshi and Kikuchi, then sent back with pages of notes. Yokoyama would then rewrite the chapter with their suggestions in mind, and this would go back and forth until he had something that we're all happy with before moving on to chapter 2. Yokoyama spoke a little about his writing style in the Ryu Ga Gotoku 10th anniversary book. He mentioned that the way he and Nagoshi work is likely not like any other people in the games business. When creating a new title, they usually begin by vaguely discussing what the game could be about and who the major characters are, just kind of rolling ideas around until one sticks. Yokoyama then creates a character relationship chart like you'd see for a J-drama by penning in every character and organization he'd like to see interact and coming up with reasons why. Next, he begins work one chapter at a time to bring all of the characters and threads together. He revealed that even when he's penning the final chapter, he's not sure who the villain will be. All he knows is which characters he'd like to see fight each other. It's not until after that he comes up with the reason why. It's been this way since Yakuza 1. He also needed to be careful writing within the budget. For example, a line like, there is a momentary pause in conversation, he picks up a glass from the desk and takes a drink of alcohol, creates a huge problem in terms of rendering, mocap, and acting. There are all these different factors that need to go into deciding how a scene should play out when rendering it in a game. Budget wasn't the only thing Yokoyama had to consider though. The average game of this type has about 10 chapters, and at the end of each chapter it's expected that your protagonist would fight a boss. If you start out with a higher level Yakuza and then the next chapter ends with you fighting just a street punk, then you lose that sense of escalation and your audience will lose interest. The gameplay and the player had to be taken into account when developing the story and the script. Finally, after days of meetings and writing, Yokoyama-san had finished the complete scenario. He was proud of it and Nagoshi and Kikuchi were thrilled but still cautious. Nagoshi in particular had his trepidations considering the huge stake he had in the success of this game. Was the script any good? Would it be something worthy of this new project? Nagoshi sought the help of author Saishu Hase, an accomplished crime novelist known for the sense of realism within his books. Hase-san was brought in to act as a supervisor, going over the completed script just in case anything needed to be fixed or changed for realism. The manuscript was sent for review and a few weeks later it was returned with a note. What the hell is this? It's so stupid.